Hello everyone, my name is Gabby, and Dragon Ball Super is really close. Less than a week, guys. Less than a week. I don't know when I'm actually going to upload this onto YouTube, but it will be pretty close to when Dragon Ball Super is airing, but before it actually does air. In real life, I'm a bit of a negative person, and I don't really enjoy that, but when it comes to my media consumption, there's all the books, TV shows, movies, and video games that I enjoy. I am always the most ardent defender of the flaws of those because I do like things that are flawed, that aren't perfect, but I can still enjoy them despite the fact that they're not perfect. And one of the things I'm worried about is that Dragon Ball Super is going to get a lot of backlash once it actually starts airing because people have the wrong expectations for what Dragon Ball Super is going to be. And then when it does air, it's going to have this massive hate movement of being like, oh, Dragon Ball Super is terrible. We're going to hate it forever. It's not what I wanted. So therefore it should not exist. And I am after all, I'm going to defend Dragon Ball Super when it does come out because I am hoping it is good. And even if it's not good, there are going to be things that are going to be that are worth watching it for. But what I want is I have like three expectations that people need to realize before watching Dragon Ball Super so they won't get disappointed in the end. The first expectation, the first and most important thing, honestly a thing that's so important that I feel like I could have made an entire video on this, but just I think everyone needs to realize that Dragon Ball Super is not necessarily going to be dark. In fact, it might be quite lighthearted. That is not a bad thing. See, people need to realize that Dragon Ball Super, no, and Dragon Ball in general, it is a kids show. It was always a kids show. Yes, it was a kid show with a lot more blood and violence than people were normally expecting, but that was just because the Japanese media had slightly different expectations for what children's media was. But remember, it is a kids show. It was published in Weekly Shonen Jump, the shonen demographic that is of young boys. It's always been like that. I think people had this misconception that Dragon Ball was like actually for like teenagers and adults, and it. I mean, well, yes, there are people who enjoy it, and it's really for all ages. But the main target demographic is still for young boys, and I think standards for Japanese media have slightly changed a bit for the past few years. Because like Dragon Ball Kai, when it aired, one of the first few episodes, they actually did do a little bit of censorship with when Piccolo blasts a hole through Goku's chest, and the hole in his chest is actually slightly changed, edited a bit for the release. So what I'm saying is people need to realize that Dragon Ball Super is not necessarily going to be as gory and as violent as you remember it to be, as you remember Dragon Ball Z to be. In fact, just based on the previews and what I've seen what I've seen, even just from like the main visual, I have this sinking feeling that it's the tone of Dragon Ball Super is going to be a lot more like Battle of Gods and the Buu Saga, as opposed to like say the other movies or like the Cell Saga. I feel like it is going to be a lot more lighthearted, but people shouldn't be too quick to dismiss it by saying, "Oh, look, it's kiddie, and that means it's bad," because that's not true. And also, I want people to realize that just because you've grown up doesn't mean that Dragon Ball is going to grow up with you. Yes, there are a lot of adult fans, but these shows are still, even though they do have very large adult demographics now, they're still not made for the adult fans. It might not necessarily be mature enough, but that doesn't mean it's going to be terrible. It can still be fun. We can still enjoy things that are lighthearted. So I just hope people realize that when they're watching it. The second expectation is about the animation. Despite it being a massive cash cow, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z they were produced on very low budgets. And sometimes you can tell. After all, there are episodes in Dragon Ball Z where the animation is just sort of off. And you can tell. Sometimes there are also some really good episodes, but yeah, generally I don't know exactly all about how the animation budget works, but from what I can tell, generally every week sort of goes to a different animation company, and they sort of cycle through different animation teams. And as a result, there are going to be days and weeks and episodes where the animation is not going to look very good. But I think a problem people have is that they look around and then they sort of I've seen this with Sailor Moon Crystal especially. They seem to look and they sort of like search for like those bad key frames of animation, and then they like put them up and like post them up and be like, look, this frame of animation looks bad. That means the entire, the animation is bad in this episode. That means the episode is crap. And that means that the story is crap. And that means the series is crap. And that's not true. You can have bad animation for 1 week or even a few weeks or even just a bit more bad animation that you'd expect, and the show can still be good. Like something like GT had bad animation, but the story itself wasn't that good as well, so that just sort of compounded the issue. But you can still have a good story and at least good sort of like choreographed like fight scenes and good, just funny moments, and you can still have bad animation. Yes, like having good animation would be nice, but I don't think Dragon Ball Super is going to be particularly high budget, despite how much money it's going to get. Because I think that's just how Toei Animation tends to do things. They don't seem to put a lot of money into things. Like they put lots of money into the movies. The movies generally look good. So if you have like one episode and the episode you can just tell that the characters just look off model or the animation isn't as fluid as it should be, just try to delay your judgment. That is one episode. We don't know how long Dragon Ball Super is going to be airing, and there may be some really good looking episodes that can just sort of make up for that bad episode. And remember, the anime industry is very, very low budget and very tight schedules, and it's kind of crazy, and I am surprised sometimes that they can get episodes looking as good as they are with how restricted their schedules are. And the third thing is, be realistic with your expectations, please. I mean, I know there are things that people would want, but you need to remember that, this is set after the Buu Saga, and a lot of the things that are in the Buu Saga, and a lot of things that are in the end of Dragon Ball Z, those are the kind of things that are going to happen. Like, if you're expecting the humans to suddenly get a massive power-up and to be able to fight one-on-one with the Saiyans, that is not very likely that it's going to happen, because the humans are just way too outclassed at this point. There are ways you can make the humans useful and make them relevant, but it's not going to be fighting. You're not going to suddenly have like Krillin show up and then suddenly be like, don't worry Goku, I've got this, and take on the guy that Goku is having trouble defeating. Unless he slices him in half with the Kienzan. I still kind of want that to happen. Don't expect them to do too much with characters whose arcs have generally finished. Like people like Piccolo, or I guess even Vegeta, really. Like they are interesting, but like I don't think you should expect that these characters are going to change that much. Really, the only characters who I can think of that can possibly change a lot are Goten and Trunks. And I feel like they are actually going to get a lot of screen time because they are the kids now. So they need to, they are the target demographic right now. And after all, kids relate more to kids. So I think they are going to get screen time. Whether or not they're going to change as characters, I don't know. I hope they do. So basically, when you're watching Dragon Ball Super, it might not be what you're expecting. It might not even be what you wanted. But try not to be so quick to judge it and say it's ruined forever. This is going to be, from what I can tell, this is probably going to be a very, very long series. So if you don't like a particular arc or a particular segment or a particular character, for all we know, in like another 20 episodes or 10 episodes, they might not show up again. Or things might be really different. Or they might redeem themselves in terms of just their actions in the plot. So, yeah, just please, guys, I know it's very easy to bash on things that you don't like, but it's even more difficult to try and find the things that you do like and then say that actually makes it worth it. Don't get me wrong, it's possible that Dragon Ball Super could be absolutely awful and even I couldn't find anything worth redeeming it for. But we need to make sure that there is at least a hope that there could be things that are good. But you also need to make sure that, yes, don't expect things that aren't ever going to happen, ever, and that you never thought were going to happen. In a way, if you keep your expectations of make it something like Battle of Gods, or just expectations low, then if something really cool does happen, you might be even surprised, and that will make things even better. Like, imagine if Gohan managed to do something badass, and it would be really cool because you were expecting he wasn't going to do anything in the plot the entire time. Like, that would be awesome. So I hope Dragon Ball Super will be good, and I hope you guys think it will be good too. So that's all I had to talk about. This is Gabby, signing out. Bye, guys.